If you're tired of hearing the same old basic mindset and motivational fluff talk, you've come to the right show. Welcome to Project Me with Tiffany Carter, the podcast, where we dish on everything from managing that crazy brain of yours to manifesting abundance to my straightforward, actionable steps that will make you major money online. Now, I'm not your typical multimillionaire entrepreneur. It takes a small village to keep my anxiety and depression in check. I'm inherently disorganized with an intense obsession with office supplies. Your girl here is a digital marketing content expert who's generated over $200 million in sales. I promise by tuning in twice a week, you will get a much needed refreshing dose of truth, clarity, and cash-making advice. Now let's get to it. My people, my posse, my fellow crazies. I'm your host, Tiffany Carter, and we are going to help stop those negative thoughts that are swirling in your brain, that are pulling down your energy, and then keeping you in this hole and swarm of negative sludge where really nothing can be accomplished. And then you end up blocking opportunities, circumstances, abundance, energy, love, light, creativity, all the ideas from in this space. So that is why I always say doing mindset work, whether it's money mindset, abundance work, just managing that crazy brain in your head. That's why I always say to you that it's like stretching at the gym. It's easy to avoid. It sounds tedious. It sounds hard. It can even sound boring to a lot of people. It's easy to push it aside and then focus on like doing a task and getting laundry done and going to the grocery store and writing a post and doing all these other things. But we have it backwards. And I say we because I can slip back into it myself, and I feel it pretty quickly, and I can course correct. So this episode might be getting you to slip back into a better habit, or maybe you need to start a new one altogether. And when we slip out of this habit, out of this discipline of putting that mindset work first, stretching first so we prevent injury, if we're not doing that, it doesn't end well. Yeah, you will end up out of service, out of commission, and you could even end up that way for months. It can take you so off track, whether it's 3 days, a week, several months. Do you really want to be pushed off track for that long? I don't want that for you. And that's also why I released just a few days ago my brand new Abundance Walk guided meditation series. It's called Your Season of Abundance. It's a 3-part audio series. It's designed for you to use while walking or doing some sort of movement. So you don't have to leave your house for it, but all the instructions are right there on the page. And also I repeat them once you listen to the audios. And I've included a bonus audio on one of the main limiting beliefs that I hear over and over again from people who come to work with me, from people who DM on Instagram, who email us after episodes, to people inside my ProjectME Posse membership, is that why would someone hire me when they could hire them? They could hire someone who's more blank, who's more accomplished, who's thinner, who's younger, who's older, who's had more press features, who has more followers, who has more credentials, da 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 da. And why would they hire me over them? So there's an audio in there as a bonus for you that's going to address that as well. All you have to do is go to projectmewithtiffany.com/season of abundance. projectmewithtiffany.com/season of abundance. Swipe up. That link's also in the show notes, and I'm giving it to you for free for a limited time. And then I end up charging for it after I've allowed you guys to get in there and download it. So it's an instant download. Don't waste your time. This is the stuff that I do that has brought me millions of dollars worth of opportunity, income, creative ideas, all the things. This is one of the core non-negotiables that I've incorporated into my life for years, and it works. That's why I'm bringing it to you. Did you know that we have about 6,200 thoughts every day? And I looked up this stat, and I used to think it was like 13,000. I think that's like how many words we might think in a day. But according to Queen's University in Canada, it's estimated that we have 6,200 thoughts every day. Now get this, 80% of those thoughts are negative, and 95% of our thoughts are repetitive, according to the National Science Foundation. So if most of our thoughts, 8 out of 10 of them are negative, and 95% of them are repetitive, we're in deep shit. And that even says more and speaks more to why you have to prioritize this, as we could call it, mental stretching. Otherwise, naturally, we're going to go and be in this negative spot, and then it's going to be repetitive and spiral, and we can't have this. There are 3 common types of negative thought patterns. And then you can see which one you seem to fall into the most. First one is pessimism. So our mental like filter focuses on the negative. We may minimize like the positives or accomplishments into our life, or even spiral into depressive thinking, like catastrophizing, making small problems into big problems or worst case scenarios, like even assuming the worst will happen instead of assuming the best can happen. The second one is rumination, which I know that is one for sure you do, aka overthinking, overanalyzing. Repetitive thoughts, which your brain tends to get stuck on negativity. You may find you have a hard time like moving on, like you struggle almost with like obsessions over a certain fear scenario, and then you end up really anxious from it. The third one is perfectionism, placing unrealistic high standards on yourself. And you may find yourselves being like hypercritical, feeling like a failure when certain things aren't met, comparisonitis. Those are the 3 main ones. And we all do them. You just might lean towards one more than the other. And by ignoring doing this work on helping manage. And I like saying the word manage because you're not going to be able to get rid of negative thoughts or repeated thoughts. So you even trying to push them away and I don't want to think about that. It's understandable why you do that, but it's also why it doesn't working. And often they get louder for people. So by ignoring these negative thoughts and these what if scenarios and self-critical, self-doubt, nasty thinking, you actually are repelling the abundance that's meant for you. You're actually repelling joy. You're actually repelling peace of mind. We've all done it, using distractions as a way to avoid the chaos going on in our minds. We use wine, food, Netflix, social media, other people's problems, shopping, drugs, work. The list is endless, really. And I've shared very openly that 2 of the things that I used to use heavily and I manage pretty well now are workaholism, and I had a major exercise addiction. Both of those were very socially acceptable. And as someone who's a codependent, other people's problems. Man, I can sink my teeth into someone else's stuff and be worried about someone else in order to not be in my own brain. So I really want you to identify while listening to this and just be honest with yourself, not to take out a bat and beat yourself up. What are the things that you've been using to try to distract yourself from all the mental noise in your brain? And while this usually gives us some form of relief, it's only temporary. And then that nasty voice comes back again, like I said, often louder. And sometimes these thoughts pop into our minds like popcorn on steroids, and other times they sit there like a pond of sludge, feeling impossible to clear out and just weighing us down. It's like a nasty, dirty, soiled, wet blanket. And your first instinct is to avoid those thoughts by ignoring them, or I'm not going to think that. I'm going to focus on this. I don't have time for that. But by doing this, they never get treated properly or addressed, which is why they end up becoming abundance repellers. So I've been doing some heavy somatic trauma healing lately. Whew, that shit's no joke. And my inner critic is now trying to convince me I don't have it in me to accomplish any other goals for the year. It's really trying to seduce me into that. It's trying to sink into that. It's trying to pick up evidence of that, accumulate data for that. Our egos are so cunning, manipulative, and relentless. And I've tried to push this thought away, pray it away, demand it goes away, and it keeps coming at me with more and more strength. And I caught myself recently, and I remembered, what I teach you guys. And I remembered this while coaching another client. It's funny how that happens when stuff comes out of my mouth and I'm coaching a client through this. And I'm like, wait a second, I needed to hear that too. Calming and lovingly reply to these nasty thoughts with, I appreciate your opinion and this isn't true for me. Or I appreciate your opinion on this and this isn't true for me anymore. Instead of coming at it with, go away, I'm not thinking that, or shoving it away energetically. When we come at someone like that in real life, that doesn't really go well in real life, right? Usually the person comes back like defensive, vindictive, all that stuff. So it's not going to work with our own egos. So instead, that ego wants to be heard because it's scared. It is like a terrified, yelling 5-year-old. So meet it with calmness, not meanness, not abruptness, not drill sergeant energy. Instead, come at it lovingly and say, I appreciate you sharing this, and this isn't true for me anymore, or this isn't true for me today, or this isn't true for me right now. Or even say, like, I know this was once true, or we used to believe this to be true, but it's no longer true anymore. Just because something feels true doesn't mean it is. Feelings are not facts. Feelings are fleeting. Within a course of a day, I can feel cunty. I can feel joyful. I can feel depressed. I can feel anxious. I can feel fear. I can feel happy. I can feel indifferent. I could go on and on, all over the place. They're fleeting, and we just need to navigate through those feelings and remind ourselves of these things. So I want to read you something that was really helpful to me, and I feel that it will be for you too. A miracle is taking place. One evening, I was sitting with my children around the dinner table. Shane was talking about his plans for the next day. Nicole was planning a pajama party. I was working on some project at that time. I was partly thinking about it, but still enjoying listening to the children talk. It was a friendly, relaxed supper. Side note, who says supper? Is this a Canadian thing? Who says supper instead of dinner? I grew up in the Midwest, and definitely in parts of the Midwest, we said supper. Okay, sorry, I digress. It was a friendly, relaxed supper. Later, I put the children to bed and quietly went to my room, peacefully getting ready to retire for the night. That's when it hit me, like the proverbial bolt of lightning. It struck out of the blue. I was so terrified when I'd begun the journey of being a single parent. After 10 years of being married, I was scared of little things like sleeping alone in bed at night and falling asleep without a man in the house. Sometimes I went to bed with the phone in my hand, ready to dial 911. Everything about this new life as a single parent had overwhelmed me. I didn't feel up to task, but somewhere along the line, I had come to believe I could. I didn't know when it had happened. It wasn't an instant transformation. It happened slowly, bit by bit. Woohoo, I said, doing a victory dance in the room. I didn't think I could do this, but I can and I am. Celebrate the miracle of transformation in your life. Whatever you're trying to become, achieve, do, learn, let it happen as quickly or as slowly as it needs. Day by day, month by month, and year after year, the feeling of quiet confidence will slowly replace the overwhelming fear. That task or job that first seems so overwhelming will begin to feel natural and right. You'll gradually become so comfortable, you might not even know when that miraculous transformation took place. Enjoy where you are today in your process of growth. You might not see it or know it yet, but an ordinary miracle is taking place. God, thank you for where I'm at in my learning curve and growth process today. Help me know that whether I see it or not, a miracle is taking place. It is. We just move so fast and focus so much on all the stuff that we don't have or haven't yet accomplished or desire and want, but it feels so far away that we forget what we have accomplished, what we have done, where we are at, how far we have grown, how far we have moved ahead in our business, in our personal life, in our personal growth, in our relationships, in all sorts of things. There's no way that you haven't accomplished so much this year. And yeah, it might not be everything you want yet, but by ignoring and not addressing and deliberately dedicating time to celebrate and honor and acknowledge all that you have accomplished, all the growth that has occurred, all the little things and the big things, you're not going to attract more. It's going to be so much harder for you to, because you're not in this energy of appreciation, of gratitude. You're in an energy of always chasing, and it's not enough, and I'll feel better when I have more passive income. I'll feel better once I meet the person of my dreams. I'll feel better when my business is making more money. I'll feel better when I get more clients or when I fill up this thing. You're setting up a whole negative thought pattern that, of course, isn't going to be fun, and it's going to suck more energy, and it's also just not true. So take this time, do the new abundance walks, your season of abundance, and look around your house, look within you, look to people that you love, and take an inventory of all that you actually have accomplished, how far that needle has actually moved. And that doesn't mean that you're stating to the universe that you don't want these other things, and that you're just okay with where your life is at now, or you're so happy where it's at now, and that means it's going to block the other things from coming forward. That's why I personally think a lot of us don't celebrate more, because we're thinking, well, if we say that we're so okay and so happy and so joyful for where we're at, we're basically sending a signal to God and the universe that I don't need anything more and I don't want anything more. And that's not true. It puts you in, it shifts that energy in you seeking evidence for all that you have. And when you're in that energy of seeing and really feeling all that you have, instantly your shoulders drop, instantly the mind slows down, instantly you can breathe a little bit deeper, instantly you can see things more clearly, and you end up going through your day with more ease, and things start flowing much faster, much clearer. The ideas come, the tasks become lighter, you feel more energized, you've lightened your own load. Experiment with this, and it doesn't have to be every day. Just experiment with it one day at a time and see what happens. The link is in the show notes to your season of abundance. Go grab those. Wishing you great health, wealth, and worth as always. Love you. If you enjoyed this podcast, please write a 5-star review on iTunes. Not only will this make me super happy, but it will allow more listeners to find our special show. Simply help me help others.